To carry forward, I now request address by the chief guest of today's function, Dr. Jitendra Singh, Honorable Union Minister for Science and Technology and Earth Sciences, Minister of Space in the PMO, Ministry of Personal Public Grievances and Pension, DOAE, Department of Space, and Vice President, CSIR.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind introduction. Honorable Minister for Science, Technology, Minister for Transport, Minister for Sports, Minister for Administrative Reforms, and many other portfolios. Our very dear friend, Shri Satish Sharma ji, and I'm glad that I was always accused of carrying many portfolios. For the first time, I'm meeting someone who's beaten my record. And also administrative reforms, which is dealt by me in the capacity of personal minister, is also with him. So I'm glad that we'll have one window association with the government of UT. And I'm also glad that the very first program, which is being organized by the central government in collaboration with the government of Jammu and Kashmir after it's taken over, happens to be this one with Shri Satish Sharma ji's first, I think, made an appearance in a central program in the capital city of Srinagar. And I look forward to a greater collaboration, closer collaboration in the years to come. Also seated on the dais, we have Mr. Dr. Vinay Nandikuri, Director CSIR, CCMB Hyderabad, Dr. Srinivas Reddy, Dr. Sanjeev Khosla from Chandigarh, Shri G.N. Singh, who is currently advisor Uttar Pradesh. And while he was sharing the good wishes of the Honorable Chief Minister, I also wish him to carry home the message कि हमने एक मुख्यमंत्री जी के आगे सुझाव रखा था कि उन्होंने कहा, क्योंकि हमारे बड़े पुराने मित्र भी हैं और मेहरबान भी हैं महाराज जी, तो उनका कहना था कि एक बड़ा एक्सक्लूसिव सा संस्थान यहाँ पर कुछ निर्माणित किया जाए लखनऊ में। उन्होंने कहा था कि आपको जगह की चिंता करने की आवश्यकता नहीं है, वो हम आपको उपलब्ध करवाएंगे। और उसी सिलसिले को लेकर के हमने एक इंडस्ट्रियल बायोटेक्नोलॉजी पार्क लखनऊ में स्थापित करने का निर्णय किया है। और हमारी टोली जाकर के मुख्यमंत्री श्री योगी आदित्यनाथ जी के कार्यालय में इसके विषय में चर्चा भी कर रही है और आने वाले समय में बहुत जल्द मुख्यमंत्री जी से समय लेकर के इसका शिलान्यास भी किया जाएगा। Also, we have Dr. Vibha Tandon, whom I have to apologize because twice she invited, twice I accepted, and twice I backed out. So now she's got used to me as much as I've got used to her. We have, of course, sitting in the audience, Dr. Sri Devi, who's also done a tremendous work, in fact, on the millets. Many of you in the room may not be aware, and as head of the Mysore Institute. And of course, our very dynamic director, Dr. Jabir Ahmed, who has actually been successful in giving visibility to CSIR and to the Triple IM in this territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Also seated in the dais and in this room, some of the important faculty members of the CSIR, members of the scientific fraternity, young startups, and also officers of the administration. At this outset, I wish to share with you something which many in the room may not be aware. It's not a simple coincidence that we are having this important third meeting of 1 week in Jammu and Kashmir. Because the matter of fact is that CSIR has a very, very deep linkage with Jammu and Kashmir. One of the first labs of the CSIR was established in Jammu and Kashmir way back in 1942-43 by none less than Sir Colonel Ramnath Chopra, who had superannuated from a laboratory in Kolkata and was brought here by Maharaja Hari Singh to set up a laboratory which was at that time named as Drug Research Laboratory. And after independence, it became a part of CSIR. So it happens to be one of the earliest labs. The other correction, which I may say tongue in cheek, is that the first vice president of CSIR happened to be none else than Dr. Sama Prasad Mukherjee, who unfortunately passed away in this city of Srinagar. And currently, that responsibility has been blessed in my favor with Honorable Prime Minister as the president of CSIR. So you can understand how deeply it has been connected, because Dr. Sama Prasad Mukherjee was the industry ministry. At that time, science and technology was not a separate ministry, it was part of that. Also, although for quite some time now, this institution did not get the kind of attention or did not receive the kind of prioritization or the media attention that it deserved. It is here in this CSIR Triple IM, Jammu and Kashmir, that Sir Ramnath Chopra had conducted trials on what later became world famous as the mint tablet, your mouth freshener, your throat freshener, whatever you describe it. And of course, by that time, he had moved over to Lucknow when it actually came available for consumption. So you can understand, and it is this laboratory again, as Dr. Zabir was pointing out, which has launched India's first cannabis project. And that also occurred to me because this entire region of Punjab, Jammu and Kashmir has become notorious for drug abuse. So, as a medical practitioner, I thought, why not make the people aware that there were also some good uses of this much maligned product? And therefore, we have launched this product to develop painkillers, which will be a great boon or great relief, particularly the patients suffering from painful cancers, painful diabetic nephropathies, etc. We had a lot of difficulty in getting the approvals because this is a prohibited drug, so we had to get the permission for cultivation. Now we are seeking permission for transportation. Incidentally, the Honorable Minister is also holding the Ministry of Transportation, so I'm sure that will become easier now before we go for the clinical trials. And this is also the laboratory which has gifted India, which is now being popularly described as the Purple Revolution. The Purple Revolution, which was mentioned by Honorable Prime Minister more than once in his Man Ki Baat, and he described it quite in detail. And also the Purple Revolution, which was a part of the Republic Day tableau this year on the 26th of January at Kartavya Marg, Kartavya Path, New Delhi. So you can understand that an institution which possibly doesn't find very much favorite place in media reporting has actually been excelling in its own way and compelling others to catch its attention. We have 37 labs across the country. Each one of them is dedicated to a different domain, to different expertise, and each of them is a state-of-art institution, which can be comparable to any other good institution anywhere in the world. And that is how this thought of 1 week, one lab came to me about 3 years back. Dr. Kalai Selvi had just taken over as Director General, and she's been generous enough to agree to whatever I suggest. And so I suggested to her, I said, why not make some showcasing of each of the labs so that at least the scientific fraternity would get to know what the kind of work that they are doing, and at least stakeholders will be able to associate with them. So we started this, and it became so successful. Then I thought, now since the time to integrate has come, the era of silos is over, and Prime Minister has been often reiterating whole of government, one government. So first, before we go for whole of government or one government, we have to have whole of science. So I said, why not have single theme celebration? So the idea of 1 week, one theme, because there are so many institutions which are conducting similar trials, and the knowledge can be supplemented, the inputs can be supplemented, the conclusions and the findings and the results can be supplemented. And next time, just after 1 week, one lab, I gave the idea of 1 week, one theme to Dr. Jabi. Next time, we'll have an extended 1 week theme. We'll go across to other institutions outside CSIR. Like, for example, much of the work that is being showcased today, the agri startups, the health startups, has tremendous contribution from the Department of Biotechnology. And we have a lot of biotechnology institutes which are dedicated. So next time we'll try. Similarly, a lot of work also being done in the IITs because now the technology has taken over both the agriculture as well as the health sector. And incidentally, we have in-house in the same ministry, Department of DST, which is also being headed by one of the IITians, the former director of Kanpur IIT, and the DBT, one of the finest biotechnologists. So next time, I think we'll have an extended 1 week, one celebration. CSIR can be the host and the nodal authority. So that will also give CSIR a wider spectrum of activity outside the Ministry of Science and Technology. So you'll be able to spread your domain even outside and find acknowledgement there. Now, as far as healthcare is concerned, and this is the theme today, I think one of the important factors as far as Jammu and Kashmir is concerned is that we have two specific domains, the aroma, the Himalayas, the agriculture sector, which have not received the kind of attention that they deserve. And it sounds a little embarrassing when you are talking at a platform in a place like Srinagar, which is rich both for agriculture, horticulture, fruit, whatever you call. And we have all the technology. And I'm glad through biotechnology department 3 years back, we were able to introduce technology to double the production of apple in a given farm, same dimensions, and also double the lifespan. And in the process, also double the farmer's income, as Prime Minister Modi has called for. And we have successfully created a number of self-help groups in Kashmir Valley itself. The other part, lavender, of course, is both an agriculture startup product, also as a health startup. And that brings to our mind that the ICT Hyderabad, currently headed by Dr. Srinivas Reddy, who was earlier in IIIM J&K, is now collaborating with Dr. Jabir in developing sleeping disorder remedies through lavender. So the properties and the uses of the lavender are also finding extension in different areas, from cosmetics to aroma remedies. Now it's gone over to more specific medicinal applications. And it has also emerged one of the important agri startup avenues in India. Because what happened was that we got stuck with IT startups. And we thought startup was all about IT because it all began from Bengaluru, which happened to be an IT city. But we didn't realize for India, the exclusive domain is agriculture. The other domain, of course, which is not relevant talking in Srinagar, is our marine resources. We have 7,500 long kilometer coastal area and huge property. And of course, the other ministry I'm associated with, Earth Science, has started the deep sea mission. So we'll have the next wealth coming from there. But now, as far as this sector is concerned, we have this is quite specific, and I'm glad that now the example of Jammu and Kashmir has been very rapidly picked up in a very large scale by Himachal Pradesh, by Uttarakhand, all the hill states, and the chief minister's offices there are themselves taking a follow up of it. In Jammu and Kashmir, also, we started from Gulmarg and Bhadrawa. We've now gone over to Duddu, Basantgarh, and the upper reaches of Bilawar in Udhampur district, also trying the upper reaches of Rasi, so on and so forth. Now, what happens is that when we integrate, of course, I'm glad that Dr. Jabir uh, had a discussion with me, and I said we should have the industry component also because I'm a strong advocate of industry linkage right from the beginning. Because it's important to have a startup, but difficult to have a sustainable startup. And lavender experiment in Jammu and Kashmir has also produced before the country a role model of sustainable, profitable startup. Because unless these youngsters find a lucrative source of livelihood, they would not stick to it. Because all said and done, they are children of the same society. So, however much motivated his youngster is, you give him or her a project, but when the next day he finds or she finds that her peer is driving in a BMW, he says, hell with all this, let me start what he's starting instead of doing this startup. So, and lavender has that property. As soon as these boys started earning 15,000 rupees for each small bottle of perfume, they got hooked onto it. And we had immediately in the beginning itself, the earlier phase itself, two youngsters who left their corporate jobs in Bangalore and came over to Jammu Kashmir. Secondly, it has also blown the myth that you have to be a PhD. और ये जो बच्चे बैठे हैं उनके लिए जरूरी है. इनको देख के आप खौफजदा ना होना कि बहुत पढ़ लिख गए. वो लगता है कि भाई वो पीएचडी होना पड़ेगा, एमएससी होना पड़ेगा तभी स्टार्टअप के लिए आपको पैशन चाहिए, जुनून चाहिए, एप्टीट्यूड चाहिए और आपके अंदर एक कॉम्पिटिटिव स्पिरिट, बिकॉज यू हैव टू मूव फ्रॉम वन लेवल टू अदर टू स्टे. And this vendor again has exploded that myth. Many of our successful vendor startups and entrepreneurs are not even graduates. So many of you who don't find studies very interesting have a good future and a good option. And I find this chubby girl having a good laugh at that. Because government today under Prime Minister Modi is so open and forthright. We are providing technology support, we are providing financial support, we are providing logistics support. For Lavender ki success story, we have two success stories in the last 2-3 years. One is that of Lavender, one is that of space. And both of them personify what I'm saying. Lavender के लिए IIIM ने distillation भी वहाँ provide किया at the site, transportation भी provide किया, महाराष्ट्र और मुंबई की market के साथ link up भी किया, so that you didn't have to wait. Because unless otherwise you start up and then the industry takes over. So I am in fact of the opinion that we could also allow our industry partners to do a mapping. Tell us what kind of startups are they required for. And then let them become partners right from the beginning so that they also own up our boys and girls, provide them also livelihood. क्योंकि जब चार पैसे भी उसकी जेब से लगेंगे तो फिर वो आपको छोड़ेगा नहीं. The other success story, of course, is space. Till about 3-4 years back, we were working in confidentiality. ना वो बाहर झांकते थे ना बाहर वालों को अंदर जाने देते थे. So our growth got limited in spite of immense talent that we had in the space sector. And all our boys outside most of the space agencies outside India were being manned by young boys and girls from India. But यहाँ पे नहीं था. So Honorable Prime Minister, once he gave us permission, and I am grateful to him from the bottom of my heart because this is something which nobody had ever imagined. He allowed us to engage public-private participation. 3 साल के अंदर we have gone from 1 digit to more than 300 space startups, which are of world class. And our first generation startups in space have become entrepreneurs. FDI का investment भी वहाँ पे allowed है, and they are also become knowledge partners. So that also brings us to the issue of the startup movement. It was Prime Minister Modi who, for the first time from the ramparts of Red Fort, in his Independence Day address, said, "Startup India, Startup India." At that time, we were just about 350 startups. बहुत सारे लोगों को समझ ही नहीं आया ये मतलब क्या है इस बात का. आज we are number 3 in the world. We are more than 1.6 lakh or so, and as many unicorns also. इसी तरह biotechnology is the other upcoming sector. Next time we'll have a joint with all these specialties. We were only 50 startups in 2014, 50. इतना बड़ा मुल्क हिंदुस्तान का. Today we are nearly 9,000. उस वक्त people didn't even know what is biotechnology meant for. Today it has become one of the favorite choices for class 12 boys, particularly after COVID, when India presented the world with the first ever DNA vaccine, and also now the first ever herpes papillovirus vaccine, which is used in the prevention of cervical cancer, which is very common in India. And that has given us a sense of esteem. And also, bioeconomy, हमारी 2014 में थी only $10 billion US. Today we are more than 130 billion, and we look forward to being $300 billion. And that's important. Why I'm saying so is that Jammu Kashmir, and particularly the area that we are today engaged in discussion, has a huge, huge potential of bioeconomy contribution. And the next industrial revolution in the world is going to be bioeconomy driven. Lab made milk, lab made mutton. You won't have to get from Residency Road. Dr. Jabir will get it from his lab, Rishtabi or Kushnabavi. And that is a fact. We have a startup in Bangalore who have started developing animal free milk, which is now being exported. And they are made a big enterprise out of this. Because when the world becomes, and we are the first among the first in the world, when we put it across to Prime Minister, we gave the presentation to Prime Minister Modi. He was kind enough to allow us to come with a bioeconomy policy, which is called Bio 3, bioeconomy for environment, bioeconomy for employment, and biotechnology for economy. And the next, just as in the 1990s, the industrial revolution was primarily IT driven, the next would be a bioeconomy driven. And Jammu Kashmir with its resources, क्योंकि जम्मू कश्मीर का वो इलाका है जिसके इतने सरमाए रहे, लेकिन जो भी वजूहत रही हो, सियासी रही हो, दूसरी रही, ना उनको कभी तराशा गया, ना कभी तलाशा गया। तो पहली बार हमारी नजर उस तरफ पड़ी है। अब उन्होंने कहा कि उस शायर को तो नजर आई जन्नत यहाँ पर, लेकिन हमें नहीं आई। तो ठीक कह रही थी। तो अभी देखनी शुरू की कि उस जन्नत में क्या है। इतना बड़ा सरमाया है इसमें। And why I'm saying so before concluding that we are now planning for Viksit Bharat 2047. You heard Honorable Prime Minister talking so much about it repeatedly, calling upon us to contribute to the making of new India, the century India. And Jammu Kashmir is going to lead the growth story of India to 2047. And as a scientific, as a student of science, we don't talk without evidence. When all the other resources are exhausted across the country, it has these Himalayan states which remain unexplored. जो वैल्यू एडिशन होगी, अब हम फ्रेजाइल 5 थे इकोनॉमी, अब हम फर्स्ट 5 आ गए। अगले 2-3 साल में हम नंबर 4 होंगे, फिर नंबर 3, फिर हम नंबर 1। तो कैसे होंगे? वैल्यू एडिशन कहाँ से होगी? वो वैल्यू एडिशन जम्मू कश्मीर से होगी और इस तरह के जो बाकी सूबे हैं हिमालय की गोद में बसते। सो एंड दीज यंगस्टर्स, God has blessed them to claim to be the architects of 2047 India. So you can understand what privilege, what blessing, and what responsibility you have before you. I'm sure this initiative will inspire many of the youngsters to come forward and also give us more of support, both knowledge-wise, otherwise. And let me assure you, government under Prime Minister Modi is very open to promote these youngsters. And we have now also developed a very vibrant social media communication setup so that even if the mainstream media does not find us interesting, we develop interesting stories about ourselves. And Dr. Javeer and his team is already working on that. I'm sure very soon we'll be able to create a larger and larger awareness. Why I'm saying so, कि जम्मू कश्मीर में अभी भी सरकारी नौकरी का कीड़ा जहनियत से जा नहीं रहा। तो जब लेवेंडर का एक एक बच्चा 15,000 की एक शीशी बैठ रहा है, तो बड़ा कई बार दुख होता है। हमारे बच्चे 3,000 की नौकरी के लिए डीसी दफ्तर के बाहर बैठे अपनी जवानी गुजार रहे हैं। So I think that also next time, one of the startup conclaves, I gave this suggestion that if you have a 2-day event, at least 1-day event in the exhibition, each child should be accompanied by one of his parents or one of his guardians. So you simultaneously educate their elders also so that they don't misguide, because maybe many of the things are new to them also. So larger awareness in the society is what we are going to look for, and we need cooperation of the media, also all the stakeholders, also for the industry because it's going to benefit them, and also you children, because you can go home and tell your parents, tell your elders what's it all about. When we were conducting diabetes health camps, which I did in thousands, I was the first one who started diabetes awareness camps with children. So they asked me, they are not the patients, why do you do so? I said they are the best counselors for their parents who are patients. So बच्चा जाता था और वो कहता था कि अपने पापा एक अंकल आए थे, उन्होंने कहा कोका कोला नहीं पीना, आप क्यों पी रहे हो? And father out of embarrassment would keep the glass aside. So you are going to be our messengers for today, for tomorrow, also for 2047. And therefore, with all the good wishes, thank you very much.